And I'm not gonna say any names, but I saw people who I personally knew saw Mamdani flipping. They knew it and they acknowledged it with me. And what did they do? They pretended like they didn't see it on social media because of this motherfucking political economy that we have on social media now. And these people have their, I mean, they get hundreds of thousands to millions of views a day or a week. And they did it and they were using the Mamdani hopium to gain views. And they were trying to wait until the very, 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 very last moment to make the switch that they knew was inevitable, instead of holding him accountable when they saw it coming. But by the time they started holding him accountable, it was too late. But they don't give a fuck because they already made their money and got their followers. And no one remembers how they lied and how they manipulated. And everybody, all the people in the comments even like, yeah, man, but why, are you gonna talk about this? Are you gonna talk about this? You gonna talk about this? And then they pretended to look the other way, right? Nobody remembers that. They just, oh shit, this person's even more famous than they were. I don't know how it happened, but here we are. Yeah, they might have made a mistake, but that was just a mistake. And that's really the biggest thing is like people assuming that some of these journalists, these public figures they're making mistakes, or they're just a little bit behind, or they're trying to evolve. No, it's calculated.
Would you have freedom from wage slavery and join in the grand industrial band? Would you from misery and hunger be free and come to your share like a man? There is power in a band of working men. That's some power that must rule in every land. Would you have mansions of gold in the sky and a living shack way out in the back? Would you have wings up in heaven to fly and starve here with rags on your back? There is power in a band of working men. That's a power that must rule in every land. If you had enough of the blood of the lamb, then join the grand industrial band. If you'd rather feast off your own land, then come do your share like a man. There's power in a band of working men. There's power that will across the land. Come all you workers from every land, then join the grand industrial. Then our share of this earth we shall demand. Come and do your share like a
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Escaping the Cave with Dr. GARRIDO. Today, we have a very, very special guest, my friend Niko House. Niko is the host of the For the People podcast. He's also one of the producers, founders, and content creators at Hotspot, something he does with our good friend Nick Cruz from the Revolutionary Blackout Network. Niko, thank you so much for joining me today, brother.
Hey man, I appreciate being on, bro. It's been a long time coming.
Indeed, it has. I wanted to start by asking you about Mamdani because there was this interesting situation when he got elected, or maybe some time before, but in the Instagram sphere that we're both very active in, there was so many leftists that I felt like were like Charlie Brown refalling for the same trick over and over and over again. And it really did feel, in terms of people who do videos and don't just post memes, because there's a lot of good comrades that post memes and stuff, but people who do videos, it was like just you and me, basically, that I could see that were very skeptical.
And Nick, basically, he just started, but there's only a couple of us.
So
we got an attack too.
Oh my God, yeah, we got the comment section was insane. It almost felt unreal because if I saw like a 19-year-old do it, I understood it because they hadn't gone through Bernie. They hadn't gone through the disappointments of AOC and the squad.
Yeah, exactly.
But these were cats that were in their mid-30s that went through all of that pretended to have learned the lessons and then remade the mistake as if nothing happened. So can you tell me like what was going through your mind in that moment? Because it was so infuriating for me.
Well, I feel like the craziest part was that trademark signature statement that everybody, he hasn't even been elected yet. How many times you see that in your comment, bro?
My God, yeah.
I need to wait for him to get elected before I look at the shit he says? Like, I'm telling you what he's already said and what he's already done.
Yeah,
I don't want to wait until he's elected for him to start screwing us over. Like, and I don't want him to wait until he's elected and has power before we start holding him accountable. Because we've already seen where that leads. Like, one of the things that people forget about Bernie isn't just how he screwed us over and sold us out to Joe Biden, but the amount of power that he got for doing so and how he refused to hold Biden accountable after that, but also how people still refuse to hold Bernie accountable after he got that power within the Democratic Party and in the Senate. Because there was a trade-off that everybody likes to forget happened, but he got a lot of power and representation in the Senate, and he used none of it to hold Biden accountable, even though that's what he promised he would do when he endorsed Joe Biden. Mamdani, and the situation with Mamdani, especially in New York, the home of AOC, which is ironic, he, for example, got famous from pushing for the pro-Palestine movement, calling out Zionism. Like, that was his bread and butter. But then he just kept throwing the Palestinian movement under the bus in various ways, whether it be talking about putting together an anti-Semitic task force, which is absolutely insane. And I found it interesting, by the way, that he kept talking about all the initiatives that he's put together for anti-Semitism or to combat anti-Semitism. But
did you see the AOC tweet today about anti-Semitic protesters?
Bro, yes. It's just really, it's anti-Semitic. You can't just scream Hamas. So you're not gonna say anything about like the actual why the protests are happening. You're not gonna say anything about the attacks from Israel and Palestine during a supposed ceasefire, right? Like. Or, the fact that the woman just got executed, like, we're gonna talk about that, or Trump and Maduro. Like, there's so many things you could talk about, but we're gonna talk about the fact this person said these people are screaming Hamas. Like, what? But that's kind of like, but that's Mamdani too, right? That's where we're at with Mamdani. Yep. He was saying that, though, that type of rhetoric doesn't have any place here in New York or a place in New York, and he focuses on, like, fighting anti-Semitism, like, because he gets cornered and bullied into doing so, right? But, like, that you should have prepared for that type of pressure the moment you decide to make Palestine the hill you're willing to die on. At least that's what you made it seem like at the time. But instead, he just keeps kowtowing and capitulating. And whenever I saw the election results and I saw how much he was talking about how much he wanted to help Jews and Zionists, I was confused because you would have thought that he was what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, catering to black people the whole time because black people got him elected, right? And he's not said anything about what he's going to do for the disenfranchised black people of the city. And I don't that's not a coincidence. It's because we don't really have the influence on social media, or at least in New York, on social media with with finances and things like that, outside the organizing of the Democratic Party, right? And so he can get our votes and throw us under the bus. And even if the majority of Zionists voted against him, he still has to capitulate to them. Why? Because they're paying our bills. And that is what I was trying to get people to see. Like we're talking about how there are billionaires that were funding super PACs for him. And I'm thinking to myself, I said, okay, well, maybe he doesn't know about it, but he knows now because everybody's talking to him about it. So if he just comes out and condemns them, then I won't have a problem because it's not like he can control a super PAC getting started in his name and somebody taking money for it. Okay, so condemn them. So condemn them. So condemn. We're what? Okay. So you're just going to ignore that shit. We talk about it and we get in trouble for it.
By the same people that were flaunting how much money billionaires put towards his opponents. Motherfucker, look at how much they put towards him.
Bro,
how many millions of dollars did the Working Families Party give him? And who funds that party?
Alex Soros. Bro, it was like this Jewish super PAC that Alex Soros put together that funded the Working Families Party. They funded super PACs in Mamdani's name. And what was crazy about that whole situation with Alex Soros was like, this was happening all behind the scenes as Mamdani was saying that he didn't want any money from billionaires. He made it very clear that he didn't want any money or support from them. And then he posts a photo with Alex Soros. Or rather, Alex Soros posts a photo, and it was taken well beforehand, allegedly, right? So it's like, so you knew that this would have been a bad look. And that's why you didn't post it. And then we found out that actually a billionaire has been pulling the fucking strings on the puppet this whole time. And people were still like, wait till he gets elected. I was telling like, even this, look, as much as I would like for him to be in charge of trains and the metro and things like that, I was telling people at the time, like, that's not, I don't actually have any expectations in that regard, but I do wish that he would stop lying and pretending like he has control over that just to get votes. Because when everybody's like, oh man, it's a failed promise whenever the metro prices went, I said, no, it's not. I mean, yeah, it is technically, but it was never a promise that should have been considered legitimate because he has no control over it. The state government runs that shit completely, bro. The governor runs that shit and signs off on it ultimately. And instead of being upfront and honest about that, I'm sure he knew that, he did it. He would just like let people believe that they were voting for, because the people who take the metro every day in New York, bro, that's going to determine the election.
Yeah. You know,
and
one of the
be
things
like, we're going
that
to advocate and we're going to lobby Governor Hochul to change that system and keep the prices low or lower the prices. That's what he should have said, but that's not what he said. And it was purposely deceptive, just like him talking about using his fucking or leaning into this stereotype that using his hands to eat is somehow a Muslim thing. When it has nothing to do with this fucking Muslim heritage, bro. That's just a fucking African heritage. He's like, but I'm gonna just keep, yeah, man, you know, this is how we eat in traditional Muslim house. What? That's not, no. But you were leading into it. Why? Because shit, maybe if I don't lean into this, people might start paying attention to my pro-Zionist stances. So,
you know who won him the election also? The Republicans. They made him so based. They called him like a fucking Maoist jihadist or something. And for a population that is so sick and tired of the establishment, you give them the freakiest thing you can give them, and they'll vote for it. And that's what's sad. That's one of the things I tried to focus on in my commentary about it. People were always like, you know, you talk about a purity fetish so much, but don't you have a purity fetish here? You're rejecting him because he doesn't have the perfect policies. And I'm like, motherfucker, you can run Stalin in a Democratic Party ticket and give me the policies of the 1936 Soviet Constitution, but I still wouldn't support it because what makes something left is not like just policies, in my view, it's how you relate to the system. And the Democrats are the system par excellence. As
and
are,
how you actually understand the system, right? Because we have evidence now. This isn't, and we have like contemporary evidence. I know like maybe some people want to point to like maybe Henry Wallace, right? And how he got screwed by the party. Oh, it's a different party now. Okay. Yeah, but Bernie was 2016, bro. How much evidence do we have since Bernie, Elizabeth Warren, AOC, Obama, for example? I mean, the list goes on. And then after Biden failed so many times, plagiarizing, sex. I mean, dude, it's a literal segregationist. Yeah, so man, how are we gonna hold him accountable for that? We're gonna make him the president, y'all. Yeah, and so if Stalin was dumb enough to run that party, he's too dumb to fucking be my president. Like, because there's no way that you believe that there's any I'm a revolutionary, but I don't even believe that reform is possible within the Democratic Party, guys.
No, it's not
That's
possible.
what's crazy. Even if you're a reformist, okay.
We
so why
need
are
to
you a Democrat?
reform the National Socialist Labor Party of Germany in the 1930s. That's what the Germans needed, to reform Hitler's party. We just need to reform that party.
Let's
That's
reform
it.
them, guys. Well, if we could have in the middle of the night, man. Well, we tried. Not like we could have seen it coming. Yeah, you could have. It was pretty obvious what his plans were. Yeah, but I feel like you're being a little bit negative, man. I just feel like you're a little bit of a nihilist. And
It made you feel like they make you feel like the meme where everyone's having a party and you're in the corner. I don't know if you've seen the meme, and you're like, what they don't know as they're all having fun, they're all dancing. What they don't know is that he's actually shit or so. And that's what felt bad at that moment, which was like, man, I hate being the party pooper, but somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to force people to take the hard pills.
Bro, I hate being the party. People think they're like, oh man, you just love being there. I'm like, no. They're like, oh, you couldn't wait to say it. I'm like, no. I actually said at the very beginning of all this, bro, I don't really want to do this, but I got to because it's my job. And also it's a responsibility at that point when I see no one else. And I'm not gonna say any names, but I saw people who I personally knew saw Mamdani flipping. They knew it and they acknowledged it with me. And what did they do? They pretended like they didn't see it on social media because of this motherfucking political economy that we have on social media now.
Mm-hmm.
And these people have they get hundreds of thousands to millions of views a day or a week. And they did it and they were using the Mamdani hopium to gain views. And they were trying to wait until the very, 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 very last moment to make the switch that they knew was inevitable, instead of holding him accountable when they saw it coming. But by the time they started holding him accountable, it was too late. But they don't give a fuck because they already made their money and got their followers. And no one remembers how they lied and how they manipulated. And everybody, all the people in the comments even like, yeah, man, but why, are you going to talk about this? Are you going to talk about this? You going to talk about this? And then they pretended to look the other way. Right? Nobody remembers that. They just, oh shit, this person's even more famous than they were. I don't know how it happened, but here we are. Yeah, they might have made a mistake, but that was just a mistake. And that's really the biggest thing is like people assuming that some of these journalists, these public figures they're making mistakes, or they're just a little bit behind, or they're trying to evolve. No, it's calculated.
Friends, we live under a dictatorship of capital still, which means that in order to keep up the work that we're doing, we need financial contributions. There's many different ways in which you can help us financially. You can become a Patreon at patreon.com/MidwesternMarx. You can buy some of our books, which you can find at midwesternmarx.com/books. You can sign up for my classes and the other classes we offer with our Marxism School, which you can see at the Midwestern Marx selfie page. You can also support my work personally as a writer and everything else that I do through Substack at my Substack page, which is Philosophy in Crisis. In addition, if you want to support the American Communist Party financially, you can also donate to the party at acp.us. If you want to subscribe to the party's journal, which I am the chief editor of, you can do so at redamerica.acp.us. And if you can't support us financially at all, at least help us get our message out there. Share this program on your social media, share it with your friends and family and coworkers, and get it out as far and wide as possible. We thank you dearly.
Yeah, it's a structural component.
Calculated.
It's a
Yes.
structural component of how it functions. And you mentioned something very important there, the attention economy and social media. What do they call us? They call us influencers. But there's a dialectic there because the influencers are influenced by the people who they influence. Because if your base, like say someone like Hassan, if your base stops donating, if your base stops fucking with you because you change the angle that they have come to love from you, that's your job. That's you disappointing to a certain extent your boss. So there's this interesting dialectical interrelation between both parts. Like the influencer always has to keep in mind, what's the base going to say? And that's why I think we were talking a little bit about this before we started the program, the way that grifters are filtered out in time, the way that people realize, if your point is not to be an influencer, if you're a revolutionary to the core and you're just doing this influencing shit because it's a good way to spread ideas, You wipe your ass with the fucking comment section of a bunch of people telling you, oh, you have a purity fetish because you don't like his policies or they're not perfect or this. No, you say what you have to say and you say it with your chest, even if it's unpopular, even if it leads people to unfollow you or to hate in the comments, because your point is not just to gain followers. The ultimate point is always to carry out this revolutionary process. Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
What about
There we go. There, you're good.
Oh, now my
Oh, you
sound
sound like
came
you're
on.
far
Hold
away.
on. Okay, say something.
Something.
Okay, I can hear you now. But that's weird. I don't know what just happened.
The audio kind of cut out though. The quality of your microphone changed to how it was before at the
Oh,
beginning.
hold on. My microphone just went out. One second. One second. I don't
This
know
was
if you can hear
dying.
me real quick, but my microphone went out. Give me 1 second.
This was all Zionist interference. That's what the program was getting too based. There,
This is my AirPod, but I'm about to put my mic back on. That was weird. What the hell?
yeah.
But I was saying that like I actually take the title of influencer very serious from the jump, because honestly, how I got my initial success was through influence.
Yeah.
Being an influencer, doing something and making a stand. Because people think that the situation with Bernie, whenever I exposed the cheating for the Democratic Party, was all like roses and shit. No, do you know how many people's feet I was stepping on? How many people had planned on riding that train to another career? And now because of me, they were forced to make a public choice as to whether or not they were going to ignore the cheating or call it out.
Mm-hmm.
If they were going to stay with the Democratic Party that they just got a job in, or leave and stand on business. Like, I was being attacked for forcing them to make that choice by calling out the cheating. I'm like, well, no, I mean, they're cheating. I mean, I was forced to make a choice. It was a pretty easy one. I didn't give a fuck. But there are a lot of people who weren't thinking like that, and I can't even necessarily blame them. But when I made the decision to be the influencer, my job was to say shit 6 months after everybody already figured it out. I can't stand that shit. I can't stand it. Like, I can't, because I would rather y'all hate me for some shit I said 6 months in advance, and then everybody thought I was crazy then, but then for y'all to like me because of some shit I said 6 months late after everybody figured it out. Like, I can't stand it. Like, and I love being able to go back 6 months ago, 7 months ago, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, and be like, whoo, shit, I hit that shit on the nose. Damn. I can see why everybody was mad. I can understand, because I was so right. And it's hard to accept whenever somebody's that fucking right about something that you don't want to accept.
Yeah.
I get it. But at the same time, like, I don't believe that Hassan isn't an influencer. Like, he became a communist because he saw where the fucking movement was headed. Communist, whatever the fuck. He ain't really a communist. But he doesn't believe in the principles, or he doesn't have any type of ideological consistency, especially when it comes to him being a communist. Because if you actually were an influencer and a communist, then you wouldn't be operating with and organizing within the Democratic Party.
100%. Yeah.
Like, those two things don't work together. Why? Because the Democratic Party is still influencing you, and the Communist Party and communist ideology influence you. But you are not an influencer who happens to be communist.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. You made a point there about being pissed off when people get it, when 6 months after is when they start saying the shit you've been saying for a minute. My buddy Eddie, he calls that hindsight anti-imperialism, because the same thing happens across the political spectrum. People become anti-war years after the fact, when they were the ones that lambasted the people that have been saying what they're saying now years after, when it was actually happening, which is when it matters. The fuck do I care how you feel about the Iraq war now? I care about how you feel about the war against Venezuela now.
Or the leading up to, right? Like, because how many of us have been talking about this situation in Venezuela for, I mean, I've been focused on, I've been spending years talking about Venezuela. Like, a lot, because I was telling them, like, y'all, this shit, the U.S. is getting very, very unpredictable and anxious, because they see what's happening in China, they see what's happening in Russia, and the U.S. in the West is losing power in Eastern Europe, the Middle East, in Africa. So they're beating their chest at Venezuela, and I don't think we can win a war with Venezuela, but that doesn't mean they're going to try some shit. That doesn't mean they're not going to try it. They're still going to try because they don't have a choice at this point. It's either enter in bilateral mutually beneficial negotiations with other countries that they normally and otherwise wouldn't engage with, or go try to take these resources by force like we always have and risk failing. They're still going to choose the latter every single time. Every single time, because if they enter in bilateral negotiations, that means you actually have to compete. And we know the one thing a capitalist hates more than liberty is competition.
Yep.
Like that's just a reality, right? Like capitalism is foundationalized on eliminating competition, not cultivating it.
Absolutely, and that's what's interesting, because they still have to keep up the pretense of being pro-competition and fair trade and all this shit. It's like, well, if you actually want competition and motherfuckers that trade with like respect for the other party that they're trading with, you see that in communist China. You don't see that in the U.S. You don't see that in the U.S. But I want to ask you about the Democrats in general, because there's this interesting phenomenon. I felt like, I wonder what you think about this, but there was a moment there in the Joe Biden administration where there was a lot of Republicans that were making the pretense, especially a lot of MAGA ones, that they were the anti-war ones, the anti-deep state, and the real dissenters and all this other bullshit. And it was all complete bunk. But they played a structural role as the valve, the pressure valve, where dissent would operate through. Now those cats are the establishment. Now those cats are, in some ways, just keeping the train going, because it's not just Trump, it's a continuity of the imperialist system. And there's a lot of discontent with ICE, which even for the MAGA people, that's not what he promised. He had promised to kick out just criminals and drug dealers and regular working class. Anyone who looks brown is fair game to be harassed by these fucking
It's even crazy. Now, when I saw it on Twitter the other day, I said, yo, white people getting shot in the fucking street on camera, y'all. Oh, no, the U.S. is cooked. The U.S., because that was the one demographic. That was the one demographic that everybody was like, they untouchable. Nothing shit ain't gonna change. So white women get shot. Oh shit! And now motherfuckers in the street talking about exercising their Second Amendment right to defend themselves against ISIS in the state, dog.
Soccer moms, and nothing against soccer moms. They're great for communities, but white soccer moms are out here talking about we need another 1776, and they gave us the Second Amendment for a reason and all this stuff. And
it's true.
The thing that scares me the most is if the Democrats are able to capture this dissent and hijack it. Because now that's how they're trying to present themselves, as the Republicans did during Joe Biden's administration, as the force of dissent. Do you think they're going to be capable of pulling something like that, as they did with the end of the first Trump administration? Or do people learn to
split again? I think it'll be split again overall. I mean, because in Minnesota, for example, the demographics, they're already like, this is how you knew everything happening in Minnesota is like, it's a psyop. By the Trump administration, because normally when they are trying to influence something, they go into areas where they know they're going to get a bunch of support doing it, or like the base largely supports Trump, or at least enough of the base largely supports Trump, and they will attack people that his base traditionally, not recently, started attacking. And this situation in Minnesota is actually just another anomaly in the sense that he went into Minnesota with the Democratic governor, which is normal. Well, that part is normal, but he went to Minnesota and started attacking white people. But the reason why he went to Minnesota is even stranger, because everybody knows that this Somalian fraud scam, which by the way seemed like this massive fraud case that everybody's talking about that was just prosecuted. It was actually fucking done by a white woman, which is a whole different thing. But whatever. All right. But the core of his argument is that we gotta get these Somalians out of Minnesota. These Somalians have been in Minnesota for fucking 15 or 20 years. Dog, like I remember about 10, 12 years ago when I flew into Minneapolis airport and it was full of Somalians. That was the first time I had actually seen Somalians in person before. And I had asked, like, hey, where you from? And she's like, oh, Somalia. I'm like, oh, she's like, no, this is my cousin. It's my friend. And they're all Somali. I'm like, what? Do y'all have like a lot of people who live here? She's like, yeah, there's a lot of us. I'm like, why would
The
I know
memes have
that?
been so good. It was promised to us 3,000 years ago. We're going
Yeah,
to have
right. But so whenever I hear Trump all of a sudden talking about how problematic Somalis have been for this community they have never caused any problems in, to the point where people are coming out to defend them, the white people in their community are coming out to defend them, I was confused. And then you find out Trump has been bombing the fuck out of Somalia for this last year. Like bombing the dogs, bro. Bombing. They even sent a general, I want to say it was, to encourage more bombing in Puntland because that's where the illegal black market gold trade comes out of. But it's also the only area that the U.S. doesn't have control over. Because the actual government of Somalia, they do have control over, but there's a border there where the regular government doesn't have control over it. But there's a lot of gold and a lot of other resources there. And those resources, or that gold in particular, actually is mostly exported to the UAE. So the UAE is helping to conduct and there's going to be more and more. And so what does the U.S. always do whenever they are engaging in some fuck shit? They're engaging in an imperialist campaign. And they need support, or they at least don't want people to pay attention and don't want people to condemn it. They create an air of apathy so that you think that those people deserve it. Look at, these dirty motherfuckers. Look at all the problems they're causing in our country. Instead of thinking, hold up, could it be that they're all in our country because of the shit we're doing right now?
With the Haitians, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats right before the intervention.
Right before the intervention.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you would think that people would start paying attention because I always tell people, y'all know these Somalians were living in Minnesota during Trump's first term, and he never said shit. Never. Think about all the news that we got about Ilhan Omar at the time, because Trump and her were constantly at each other's necks, and she's from Minnesota, and yet there was no spotlight shown on how dominant and prominent the Somalian community was there, which is ironic because you would think that they would have got it because that was the way she got elected, was because of how prominent the Somali community is there, right? But it never got discussed. And all of a sudden, now in the last 3 to 4 years, Somalis are causing all the problems in Minnesota. Even though the governor isn't saying that, the people aren't saying that, no one's saying that, it's just Trump, who doesn't live there. But fraud. Nick Shirley just conveniently decides to show up in December, at the end of December, but they're talking about recruiting mercenaries for ICE to go to Minnesota for this operation before Nick Shirley exposes fraud, which the majority of it looks like is bullshit. Nick Shirley goes to a daycare on December 22nd and nobody was there. What? He went to a daycare during the holidays and nobody was there. In the snow. No, I'm not. Why would I do that? I'm not, if I could, and I know I'm going to be home or I have other people home, why would I put, you being a parent, understand this. I'm not about to pay for that last 2 weeks of daycare if I can get away with it. If there's you know what I'm saying? Or if I'm not trying to get up out my bed at 7 a.m, if I'm going to be at home. Because I've been doing this for the last year, bro. I'm in the crib, they upstairs sleeping. I'm not about to wake them up. If I don't have to go to work, they're going to stay there right in the house. And it's cold as hell outside. But no, he exposed fraud. No, I've not seen anybody come in or out. Yeah, because everybody's at the crib because they're on vacation. You dumbass. But Nick Shirley just blows up. Everybody assumes that everything he reported is 100% accurate. And all of a sudden that gives, we just saw women get executed because of Nick Shirley, 23-year-old random white guy with no credentials, Carlos, in some YouTube videos. When you really put that in perspective, it's like, what the fuck is happening in that country, bro?
I couldn't agree more, man. These ICE thugs, which if you're going around with guns and you're masked up, you're a thug. There's only one institution historically that would go around masked up in the U.S. Terrorizing people, and it was the Klan. And if you're looking at these cats, and I look, Democrats are always talking about deportations and Trump, and then they look away when Biden deports people. So at the beginning of this, I wasn't fully sold that it was something, a radical break with the Democrats or anything like that. And then I teach in a primarily brown and black area. Most of my students are brown and black. And I start getting a ton of students, half of my classes telling me we got pulled over. Bro. For no reason other than being brown, being Pakistani, being Indian. It's what?
Bro,
so once it gets to that level,
the same shit. She lives in Georgia, out there in the, right outside of Atlanta, where all the Mexicans live, in Gainesville and that. Mm-hmm. She's like, nah, my dad got pulled over 3 times in the last month. I was like, what? Her dad like never gets. He drives slow as shit, dog, and he drives a nice car. And she's like, nah, we're terrified to leave the house, because even if everything is right, it doesn't matter. That's not they will still kill your ass. They will still hold you and not let you call anybody. Oh, I forgot my ID in the house. Well, I think we found out the detention center. Come on, let's go check it out.
And it cuts across class divides. It'll be kids that their uncle owns a car dealership and they're driving a nice car. And then it'll also be poor kids driving an old-ass Altima or something. Both, as long as you're not white. But even now, even fucking white people are getting terrorized. I just saw a video on IG, bro. I just saw a video of this white woman getting arrested and thrown to the ground on IG. They grab her cell phone, throw that shit, and they let her go after they finally let her grab her ID. But they terrorized her ass beforehand. Yep. I'm like, yo, which is stupid, by the way, on ISIS part. This is how you know the IDF, this has got to be some IDF shit, right? Yeah. Because IDF don't know. They don't know, like, okay, man, look, you can go after black people, brown people. Even a white man, if his hair is long enough or his barber is too thick, or his barber, the Jesus looking ones. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But don't fuck with those white women. Don't touch them. You go around them, you maneuver, but you don't touch them. Don't look at them. Yeah, we don't give a fuck about that. Pop, pop. Get on the ground. Oh shit, now the whole world watching, look what you did. We would have never even seen it. Those little the videos of them arresting or going door to door, knocking on Somalian doors, would have just went to the same people they always went to. You know what I'm saying? But now you killed a white woman. So now you got to call her a domestic terrorist. You got to overcorrect and call her a fucking domestic terrorist, bro. Yeah. Because we just killed a white woman. I don't know what the fuck. This is what we got to do. We have to literally lie about the shit that we all saw happen right in front of us. JD Vance is so upset that people I can't believe that she deserved it. I'm like, bro, you're beating your chest about what should have happened, how he was defending himself, and how she definitely is a terrorist and she was trying to hit him. I'm like, okay, so why don't you cite any protocol, any law that substantiates your claim? Nothing at all, even though all the information is readily available. Because if he quotes even any of it, it's going to immediately undermine his point. And we can't have that. Why? Because we just killed a fucking white woman, dog. I'm at the end of my rope. We're done. We kidnapping Maduro. Shit, some of the country cheered. Yeah, but if you look at a lot of you get the mainstream conservative talking heads are they're doing what they're paid for. But I will say everybody that's on Twitter or even on Instagram, if they do comment supporting what that cop or what that officer did. It's all bots, bro. It's straight fucking bots. It is obvious. I'm like, yo, I even tweeted out the other day, yo, we need better bots. Y'all need to, if y'all gonna bot attack us, y'all saying different versions of the N-word, you stupid little Democrat, you're unhinged, you're retarded. Okay, so that's really all y'all got? This is where we're at now? Well, shit, we had to put this shit up. New account. Hey, we had to put this shit up today, man. We ain't expect a white woman to get shot. Shit, what you want us to do? We just programmed. You know what though? There's always a silver lining, Niko, as you well know. You know what the silver lining of this is? The stand-up bits that Dave Chappelle is gonna do are gonna be so good. Yeah,
bro, he been going crazy. He has not missed since he's come back.
Yeah,
and I'm so happy, bro, because I don't know if I could have made it if we would have lost Dave Chappelle to the Empire.
Oh my
I ain't gonna
God.
lie to you. I don't know if I would have made it because that shit would have hurt. That would have hurt too much. It would have hurt too much, dog. I can't believe that. It's like Netflix is kind of in this weird compromising position because I'm sure man, somebody gonna get on our head for keep letting this man talk, but he makes us so much fucking money.
It's hard not to make a good anti-Semitic joke right now.
Yeah, right. That part too, right? It's it's the people support this shit. I know and it's and they paying our subscriptions. These fucking Zionists ain't got enough money to pay for all the subscriptions these poor people paying for, even if they are sharing accounts. Okay, while you're playing with it. It's saying our billionaires don't keep Netflix alive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's facts. And for it, like, the reality is they overcharging us. And it's like, well, motherfucker, I'm not about to pay for cable, so this is where we at, unfortunately. Like, you know, unless you one of them team ARGs, you out there on the web, the internet see, like motherfucking Jack Sparrow. I respect you. I'm not judging. You know what I'm saying? I like a good torrent website myself. But the reality is, like, I love seeing how, like, Dave Chappelle has hit that level of popularity that they can't do anything about it because everything he's saying, the majority of us support, which is true. So,
absolutely. I want to ask you to close off a question that I asked, I believe, 2 guests ago now. Ethan Levins, commentator on Russia and Palestine, etc. I asked him if he thinks we're heading towards civil war, and he said that he thinks Americans are too fat and lazy to do anything anytime soon. That he thinks that World War III is probably more likely. And I don't know what's sadder, if it's the Civil War or that we're maybe too fat and lazy to do a civil war. But what are your thoughts? Where's the country heading?
they're not heading to the gym. That's the fucking problem, actually. They're probably going to head right to McDonald's because, you know, them protests, they long and they leave you starving. And ain't nobody got enough money to hit a Whole Foods. So that's where we he's not lying. It's like a civil war. With who against who exactly? What? All these fucking political commentators on social media, they're going to get in the fight? Is that what y'all hoping for? Like, no, that's not going to happen. I don't believe that we'll be in a civil war unless it's like people against the government. Yeah. Like, and it's going to be like something that the government forced. Like the government killed the wrong person from the wrong family, and those people had a bunch of friends, and now it's like, and then they killed a couple more, like on some Kent State shit, and Trump is already an unlikable individual. No one's going to feel guilty. And then, and the reason why I say versus the government's more likely, because there are so many people in the military who will say, fuck them. They're like, bitch, I don't even like going to work as it is. Give me a reason to say fuck y'all. Because legally speaking, everybody in the military can object conscientiously. They don't have to fight. And you can't fire them. And what do you think the judge is going to say? The judges aren't, not in today's climate, they're not going to be like, oh, we're just going to completely ignore UCMJ because Trump asked us to. No, they're not going to do that. So
and that's you're seeing these clashes. You're seeing the clashes happen with Trump, and ICE is basically the personal security force at this point, and governors and the National Guard of states. And that, I think it's sowing the foundations. And for me, the big question is, who's going to be able to win how the narrative about what the red line is, right? Are the Democrats going to succeed in making it a red-blue thing? Or are people like us going to succeed in making it a people versus capital and the state thing?
I think it'll be that. I think people, and the reason why, maybe 10 years ago, maybe even 15 years ago under Obama, it would have been possible because there were enough people still making money. The housing market wasn't where it's at, bro. Credit cards are insane, bro. I had to just pay one off the other month because I'm like, hold up, bitch. Why am I paying $75 a month now when it was like $35? Well, interest rates just went up. How? I have a great credit score. What did I do to deserve this? Nothing. Nothing. We just raised them up because we broke. So you got to feel it too. And everybody's talking about bankruptcy, like daycare is expensive as shit. It's hard to send your kids to college. It's hard to send them to work. It's nuts where we're at right now. And what I believe that capitalism has a fatal flaw in its ideology, which is when you rip people's lives apart, you end up bringing them closer together. They have to form a support system based on common values. And even some of the values they didn't know they had in common, they begin to develop through their shared experience and their shared trauma. Once that starts to happen, everybody starts getting on the same page. Once everybody starts getting on the same page, what the fuck do you think is going to happen? What do you think is, this is why, like, we know why y'all work so hard to control social media algorithms. We know, for example, I tell people all the time, I said, people need to consider the real possibility. Charlie Kirk was killed. At the time, he was killed because they needed some shit for people to argue about and make it Democrat versus Republican or left versus right.
Yeah.
Because for the first time in history, bro, that I can remember, like the entire world was unifying against against Israel. Everybody from both sides. I never in my life would imagine that Candace would have the #1 fucking podcast in the world from criticizing Israel all the time. Like that's basically what she does for a living. And I fucking support it. I do support that. That's for damn sure. Right? And it's like for me to put my differences, they're not petty, but they are differences aside because I understand like whatever Israel is doing, it is more important that Candace calls that out with the microphone and the platform that she has than us resolving my issues on her, my issues with her views on racism right now. That shit could come later. Like, I got to that point. Why? Because we all agreed these motherfuckers gotta go. Like, and we all have to do our part. And I gotta put my petty differences aside. So when Charlie got killed, that was why they were like, hey man, we gotta get these motherfuckers arguing again. Come up with something. Because even with the algorithms, it wasn't working. Even with the ADL on their ass, it wasn't working. Even with, they would buy ChatGPT and Meta and like all that shit. Like, yeah, it wasn't working. So like they do event after event after event. Because it was, oh shit, I would make an argument that it was Gaza and even the Epstein files to some degree, right? Like, we got to get people to stop talking about this shit. And unfortunately, the reality is, to a large degree, it worked, right?
Yeah.
It did work. You know, there are a lot of us that still talk about Gaza all the time, but it's not enough. It isn't dominating the news cycle. The genocide is happening still, and it isn't dominating the news cycle because every fucking week Trump throws some shit at us, and then Elon forces us to fucking eat it.
Yeah.
And that's reality. But it still isn't working to the degree that they think that they thought it would, because there's still, like, Trump is all-time history unpopular right now, no, regardless of what you see on social media. And it's almost like they're overplaying their hand by using all these bots to try and push him, because we all know, we're like, bitch, everybody's criticizing this nigga. Bro, in Brazil, the Bolsonaristas I know are attacking this man when they used to like him. They're like, no, this motherfucker's like, even for us, like, he's wilding. Like, yeah, because they're, and once again, what we've seen over and over, we've seen people discuss this, like the opposition in Venezuela and people who maybe didn't support Maduro, they're still not stupid enough to believe that the U.S. getting involved in the way that they did will somehow benefit them. Because they're like, well, if they're in control of everything, how will I be able to be autonomous? Well, you won't.
That's what people don't understand about Venezuela. They painted the opposition as if it was Maria Corina Machado or even Juan Guaido in his time. That's a very small fraction of the opposition, a very extreme one, and a very super hardcore Zionist one. The vast majority of the opposition doesn't want Maduro to be overthrown by the U.S. and their country bombed. If they beat the Chavistas, they want it to be on the merit of their ideas, their ability to organize. They're not going to succeed. I don't think they are. There's only like one state that they have out of 25. But they're not fundamentally traitors. They don't want to be cucks to the U.S.
And you know what? That's why I tell people, I'm like, I don't have a genuine problem with having opposition in Venezuela. Like, y'all think that's my issue? It's not. You don't want to be communist and you want your policies to get passed. Get out there and engage the political system. I actually appreciate that, because it makes everybody have to level up. And you're going to figure out really what the people want when they constantly show you over and over again by voting in a system that is like, what, like, bro, whatever is happening in Venezuela, people have to think about it. We just watched the president get kidnapped, and it was this big, what we thought was going to be a huge hole in a vacuum of power, and it could have created chaos. It should have, based off of what we've heard from the U.S. and what people say about the success and the popularity of the opposition party that supposedly won by this massive percentage and Maduro just stole the election. Instead, we didn't get that. We just saw the most mundane, humdrum, hey, I'm the president now. Opposition, you got anything to say about this? No, we're cool with it. Anybody got anything to say about this? No, we're all cool with it. Everybody is cool with this? Yeah, we're all good. Okay, so you're not going to try to take advantage of this and like install a president and say that we're not doing none of that shit. That's the weirdest dictatorship I have ever seen.
Yeah.
I'm like, that you trying to tell me this? They say that this is a crumbling democracy, and they just literally their president got kidnapped overnight after the U.S. engaged in countless years of propaganda, investing money And it, like, bro, yep, and Maria Machado, Juan Guaido, yeah, and we just literally just did a mundane live stream to transition to power where the vice president is like, yeah, but he's still the president. The Supreme Court comes out and was like, yeah, normally we'll hold an election. We're not going to because he's still the president. Mm-hmm. Like,
the weirdest dictator ever.
And the opposition didn't complain.
Mm-hmm. No, they were in the streets with the millions of Chavistas complaining about the U.S.'s actions, not what the government was doing to sustain the Bolivarian revolution. It's the weirdest dictatorship I've ever seen. The dude's been arming his people. He's been training them. I've been to Venezuela twice. I'm friends with dozens and dozens of cadres, local leaders, higher level leaders, and I'm seeing it in my feed for months. These people are being trained and armed, regular civilians. They get to just sign up. Here's your weapon. Here's your training. That's a weird dictatorship.
Yep. Yeah. What dictators are the people that supposedly want to overthrow them? That shit is a weird brass. I'm like, y'all don't understand how fucking crazy. That's how the same reason I said that there was no on January 6th. I'm like, that isn't a coup or what do they call it? What do they keep calling it from January 6th? Insurrection. I'm like, y'all had a bunch of conservatives show up with no guns and supposedly wanted to take over the government. I don't think that math is math and arithmetically speaking, my guy. I don't think that makes a lot of sense. The same way a dictator wouldn't give the people who supposedly want to overthrow him a bunch of guns and training to match. Right? Like, that doesn't make any sense. But what it does, but I'll tell you this though, what that does help me understand is why the U.S. want to put boots on the fucking ground. And I tell people that, I'm like, yeah, why do you think they did this little slick ass action in the middle of the night? Like, it's because they were bumping their chest about how we go to war with Venezuela and we would. Okay, I said and I said just because they did this shit doesn't mean they still want to go to war with Venezuela. They're doing everything they can right now to not go to war with Venezuela, even putting out these fake ass success. Like when he said, we got 2 days worth of oil. Yeah, 2 days worth of petroleum, guys. I told you this is gonna help America. I'm like, and people were tweeting the shit. Like, it's like, this is
that's
what
the saddest part.
For.
Yeah,
this is what I voted for. Huh? What? 2 days worth of oil, y'all? You tell me how much did we spend to do the operation, and how much are we spending to maintain that operation thus far? That 2 days worth of oil is going to be worth it, guys. Explain that shit to me.
What's interesting is that, I mean, people really do not understand economics. And a lot of these rightoids are the ones that will tell communists or Marxists, like, you guys don't know economics. You just don't know economics. Do you think that these Palantir guys, these ghouls that are behind Trump, are going to suddenly become industrialists and develop whole new factories and refineries to pump out more Venezuelan oil? No, they just want control over the oil so that they can take out loans and use it as collateral. Because that's how money is being made.
Industrial reductionists. Like, our goal is to reduce, like, the way that we gain our billions of dollars into 1, 2, 3 modes of earning, like in productivity. Like, if I can cut out as many people as I can, cut out the middleman, which is us, I'm gonna do it every single time. And if I could spend money that I don't have to make money immediately, I'll do it every single time. Because that's the way our economy is going. And if I could spend your money, even better, by kissing the government's ass and getting them to invest subsidies into my company, even though a company that I just took over, through a hostile takeover, I didn't actually invent anything. Elon Musk, little punk ass bitch. I'll take that. I'll have to believe and be convinced that I'm actually intelligent. I don't really give a shit if I am. Because that's basically all the billionaires that we have in power right now.
Yeah, and it's so sad to see people say, well, at least we're going to have cheaper oil. It's like, no, the fuck you're not.
No, we're not.
You had cheaper oil during Iraq? You fucking idiot.
Or Afghanistan. Or after Libya.
Yep.
Or, like, bro, that's what people don't get. I'm like, hold up. We never, when have we seen gas prices go fucking just tank after we conduct a major military operation for oil? Never. We've seen prices drop, and then they always rise back up like 6 months later. It's like, because they could have always dropped them. If they drop them immediately, it's because they could have always dropped them. But their intention was to always raise them again. It's like, we're going to make you think that this war was justified. It's like, nah, I don't believe that shit. If anything, what have we seen, Carlos? Every time we do go into a back and forth with the major oil nation, the fucking prices skyrocket.
Mm-hmm.
What happened whenever Israel attacked Iran? I heard shit was crazy at the gas station in the U.S., dog. I'm like, I thought the whole
same
point
thing
of this
with
was to make
Russia.
shit cheaper.
Yeah. When the proxy war against Russia started, same thing.
Exactly. Because what happens is they're like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I do know that this is going to make everything way more inconvenient. So prices are going to go up because I'm predicting a loss. And if we just if we do happen to make more money on the back end, fuck, that's great too. But I'm not taking that chance because that's how economy works. I got to deal with my immediate look. I got to reduce and mitigate my immediate losses. I'm not about to count money that I might be getting 8-9 years from now. I got to pay people today.
This is, I think, the most one of the most important lessons that Marxism, Leninism brings about when it comes to imperialism. Imperialism isn't just a set of policies the state does; it's part of the system. And if you recognize that the working class is structurally, necessarily going to be fucked over under capitalism, if you just develop that to the stage of imperialism, you think now is when they're going to start benefiting? No, the interest of working people, even in the imperial core, is always going to be fundamentally the same as that of oppressed people in other countries. It doesn't matter how much bullshit they're fed into their minds to make them think, no, I'm special, I'm in the imperial core, I'm going to benefit from these wars. No, the fuck you're not. You're not going to benefit financially, you're not going to benefit economically, you're not going to benefit politically, because the police state that we're developing here is in conjunction with that. And your kids and your fathers and your brothers and uncles are the ones that are going to get sent over to fight and come back in black body bags with PTSD, or to end up in the streets like the 700,000 homeless people that we have in this country, a lot of whom are veterans.
And a lot of whom are actually gainfully employed.
Yeah.
Which is another thing that nobody likes to talk about, like California homeless people. I know a dude that was making $50,000 or $60,000, bro, living in a tent. I bullshit you not.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? Well, yeah, because the way credit works. in California at the time wasn't allowing people to rent homes that had bankrupted, even though it was California's fault that it happened. So, and I agree, man. Like even if you make a short term, even if you do benefit in the short term off of imperialism, that shit is short term. And at the end of the day, the net of the benefits will be negative.
Yeah.
It will be. Like I can't tell you how many people I've seen live it up for 6-7 years, and then they disappear. I'm like, what the fuck happened to them? Man, came down on hard times because all this happened. I said this, or these businesses that we were contracted with all closed down. And no, it will. All that shit is cyclical, guys. Everything. Everybody will come down on hard times eventually, but the majority of the hard times that happen in the U.S. are forced upon us by the government, by like a hard reset, right, or a straight neglect. And the problem is, too, that hard times are inevitable, but in countries like, for example, Brazil, there's a fucking safety net. Like, I don't gotta die because I lost my job for 2 months, 3 months, because I lost my health care from there. Because they do have jobs here, businesses here that do provide health care if you want it, because they do have private and public system. But like, if I wanted to, I could just go down the street too and go to the public place, and it's just as good. You know, it might take about a week or two longer to do my appointment, but that's it. Like,
the chickens always come home. The chickens always come home to roost sooner or later. It's like your own life as an individual. You go around the world, when you have a little bit of power, a little bit of cash in your pocket, you treat people like shit. You're an asshole to people. Sooner or later, you're not gonna have much in your pocket. That power is gonna be gone, and everyone's gonna fucking hate you. And the chickens are gonna come home to roost. But you go around like China does, be nice with people. How can I help you? How can we both benefit from this trade? You think they're going to want to negotiate with you in the future? Of course. You're going to have a lot of friends.
And they're also going to look the other way sometimes for shit. Like, yeah, well, you did work with the U.S. and they're kind of like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you are kind of the reason that they did have some of the power that they were able to get. Yeah, but look what we're doing now. You know what? You're right, man. We ain't got everything over your head. You know what I'm saying? Like, because at the end of the day, they benefited. Like, yeah, China did get this money, but look what they're doing with it. They're actually helping us. So it's like, we'll take that trade. We don't really like it because the U.S. is going to figure out a way anyway, right? That's what they do. So it's like, in their mind, they're like, well, if China got a little was able to benefit it is now the successes they've gotten from that is being used to benefit all of these nations. Like, shit, who am I to complain? I can't judge everybody.
Yeah.
I ain't Jesus.
Well, they have the metaphor. They have the metaphor that they ride the tiger. They fed the tiger as they were riding it, but at least they used it to get somewhere nice. Huh?
I didn't know they had that metaphor. Is that yeah, this is dope because it's true. That's exactly what happened. But it's like at the end of the day, I'm sure they might maybe even couldn't believe it. right? Like, y'all, hold up, y'all really going to let us make money and industrialize off of y'all money? And I know that everybody's like, well, they were making I love the what they do. They're like making 50 to 70 cents on a dollar. I'm like, hold on, did y'all actually convert the currency? Because people don't do that shit. You know what I'm saying? They'll be like, look at how much, I have friends that work in Russia, and they'll tell me, oh, I make like 5,000 rubles a month. And I'm thinking like, oh, that's really good. Like, yeah, in Russia, but like that money anywhere else would be like $200, $300.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they're like, well, they're only making $300. Everybody's poor. It's like, did you do the fucking conversion, my guy? And did you look at the cost of living there and things like that? Because that's kind of important. So when you're like 50 to 70 cents on a dollar in that economy in China at the time, if you do the math, that actually is really good for what, you know what I'm saying? For like a, average worker and things like that. But then you got safety net that they're not paying for like that, like out of their pockets, right? And now everybody owns homes, damn near. Was it 90% of adults in China own homes?
Yeah.
Like 60% of those own two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's like, but they actually use them for their families and shit like that. Like, imagine knowing you're gonna own your home one day. Can even 30% of our generation say that they're going to own a home one day with confidence, bro?
We'll see.
Because I got, bro, so I bought a home in Brazil, thankfully. I was very, very blessed. I bought a 7-bedroom, 9-bathroom home, right? And I remember thinking right before I left for Brazil, before I made the decision to move, damn, bro, I'm never gonna own a home. It's fine. It wasn't like I wasn't making money. It's just I was making money, but I would look at the estimated property tax value over 5 to 10 years. Oh yeah, this shit ain't gonna work. Yeah, I'm paying this for now. I can pay off my house, and then the bank can still come through and take my shit. Cause this is a whole different fucking mortgage, except for it's permanent and it's gonna keep going up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm not. Why would I buy a house then I can just rent one and not? And if I get rid of that house, like at least it's not gonna fuck my whole life up. It's not gonna uproot everything that my kids and my family have built. Doesn't make any sense. But that's where we're at, bro. Like. My property taxes in Brazil are like fixed for a certain amount of time. And then there's a limit when it finally does go up and it's nowhere near what I would pay in the US. Like there's a limit. There's a legal limit that they can extend it or that they can rise it. So yeah, bro, it's what we're seeing in the US is nuts because it's completely and totally unnecessary. Because when you see a country like Brazil, for example, fund its entire healthcare system, and it's, you know what I'm saying, like, it's not perfect all over the country, but that's because of structural issues within certain states and how they spent their money thus far. So there are efforts to actually make that better. But Brazil's healthcare system is actually relatively young. Their public, their universal healthcare system, and they're taking the steps in every state to try to fix the problems. But like they have other problems they have to fix too. And despite all that, they still were able to create a healthcare system that is and their medicine is way better than ours.
With a lot of help from the Cubans. So.
Yeah, for real though. Honestly, dog, have you ever heard of
even Bolsonaro had to call him back after he kicked him out?
For
he
real?
had to call the Cubans. Bolsonaro at the beginning of COVID, I think
didn't know
he
that.
kicked him out, and then he brought him back.
He's like, hey man,
he had to come back with his tail tucked between his legs and say, bro, bring these cats back.
Yeah, bro, because it's so, dog. I mean, everything. The quality of the food. And what's bad is like, let me tell you something, Carlos. I'm going to keep it a band with you. I love Brazil, and I feel like it's still infinitely way better than the U.S. But there's capitalism is winning right now, largely because of social media, right? And I would say the more capitalist Brazil gets, and this is under Lula, just to be clear, everybody, I'm saying under Lula, the more capitalist Brazil gets, that's where their shortcomings come in place. Yeah. That's reality. I notice it because I lived it in the U.S. And whenever things like where you see property values skyrocket from nothing out of nowhere, people, you see these predatory landlords and things like that. I see Israeli construction companies fucking popping up in every goddamn corner lately. Because Brazil is becoming a fucking world tourist destination like we've never seen before. So Israel's gonna show up. And so when they start buying up properties everywhere, what does that leave average Brazilians with?
Yeah.
Because they can't compete. So that's why I would say, like, the more capitalist Brazil becomes, that's where the problems start happening for the average Brazilian, and the quality of life starts to get reduced. If Brazil leans more into communism and socialism, then like things are way better. Even if they aren't perfect given the circumstances, because everybody in Latin America still has to deal with the boogeyman over there in the north. So I will say this before we get up out of here, because of you and Eddie and definitely my man's Nick. So because I'm a journalist, I always feel like I have to maintain my objectivity, and I can't actually advocate for any one particular ideology, even though I can firmly say I am 100% anti-capitalism. But boy, when I tell you, boy, I had to fight with my soul. Because I'm like, yo, these motherfuckers be spitting this goddamn communist shit so goddamn, so real and so I'm like, this shit. I said, man, maybe I am, but like, God, but I can't say I am because I'm a journalist and everything else. But like, goddamn, it's so obvious. Like, I think that, like, when you hear spit like this, when it's hard for me to be like, don't support this, like, or like, don't just run. Oh, matter of fact, why isn't everybody organizing for this shit right now? But I'm not gonna lie to you, it's especially when you think about everything with any type of philosophy or the context of communism and politics over the last century, like in these dialectical terms that y'all really do a good job of framing these conversations around, like. It makes it hard to not be like, yeah, man, y'all should just say, fuck whatever. Everything else that y'all dealing with, that shit's really unimportant. Go organize for your favorite communist today. But I appreciate the work that y'all do, man, because y'all really do a great job educating the masses. I love how you get into like the nitty gritty of philosophy and economics, and also how to pragmatically apply the theories and things like that y'all talk about to our everyday lives, bro. It's dope.
Thank you so much, brother. That's an honor to hear. And when you were talking a little bit earlier about the conversion stuff with China, the way people just convert it back to dollars and they're like, oh, that's nothing. It made me think of a Lenin joke that he brings out in Left-Wing Communism, one of his books. He's criticizing these dogmatists that just treat Marxism as a series of stale conclusions instead of this worldview that's constantly evolving. Yeah. And he says, these are the sorts of people that are so sure that 3 is more than 2, that you put a minus sign in front of the 3 and in front of the 2, and they still think -3 is more than -2.
Well, that's 100%, because those same people will, like, that, and how capitalists think, they're like, they still believe in the dogmatism of capitalism, which is like, everything is built on competition and free market. It's like, okay, they said that one time 150 years ago, and y'all still believe that shit is real. Look at the new information we have presented to us, because just like Marxism is always having to constantly fluctuate and evolve within the context of the real world, like capitalism has did the same thing, and they've shown us exactly what capitalism is. We don't have to guess anymore. We got a century and some change. Yeah, but it's free market. It's free market and competition. So what about the competition they killed? And what about the fact that they're literally doing everything they accuse communists of, and this caricature of communism is stealing from the poor and giving to the rich? Yeah, but that doesn't really fit with my worldview, and it definitely doesn't fit with my bank account. And so, yeah, I have to believe that I'm going to be one of them one day. So, it's a free market until otherwise.
That's always so rich. It's like the Zionists. Every accusation, Zionism represents like the zenith of the spirit of capitalism, and the same logic of every accusation is a projection, is operative there. I want to tell you a little bit before we go about my trip to China, because I had a funny experience. I was there one day, the first day in Beijing, just did a bunch of interviews with national media, and then they told me I was going to the poorest town, the poorest city in central China. And I was like, all right, I fuck with China a lot. I've been making a ton of videos about China, showing people the big cities and stuff. But now they're taking me to a place, and what am I expecting? I'm expecting like dirt roads and a ton of poverty. We were talking a little bit before. We both lived in Miami. I lived in Hialeah, right next to Opalaka. So a very, very poor area. So I was expecting something along the lines of that level of poverty, but cinified, Chinese style. Bro, I get to the city, Enshi, China, and it's the nicest city I've ever seen in my life. There's skyscrapers all over the place. They're all like China styles. It's like traditional Chinese architecture with modernized buildings. They took me to the rural areas, and I was like, all right, now's when I'm gonna see poverty. I'm going up these massive mountains which are gorgeous in terms of the scenery.
Yeah.
All the best cars, Audis,
What?
BYDs, Mustangs.
In the Mustangs?
Yes, bro. Like all the best
Okay, I'm
American
confused.
and
I didn't know that they
European and
had.
Chinese cars in these beautiful little houses. And then I got to the village eventually, and you look at the people and the older people, you could tell it was poverty. I drank moonshine with these farmers that they worked together in a tea commune. They were missing their teeth because they got lifted out of absolute poverty just 7 years
Later.
prior. But now
Yeah.
their kids are living in luxury, a lifestyle that I'll never
And for
be able to
them,
have in
and
the
for them,
US.
they're like, look, and the kids are like, this is a luxury. My friends down the street in other cities are fucking rich, and they're like, bitch, you driving a Mustang? Like, what you mean? you driving a Mustang, and I'm pretty sure that you pay extra for that bitch, right? Because it's China. So yeah.
No, it's actually cheaper. It's
Hold
cheaper.
the
Yeah.
bro. What?
Yeah.
How's it cheaper?
As a Mustang enthusiast, I was perplexed as well. They told me it was cheaper.
That boy, America be lying their ass off, bro. Like almost everything when it comes to China, America be lying his ass off. Like, yeah, we're not gonna do, like, because that's why China is always like kind of looking at America like, man, y'all go ahead, y'all keep doing your little fake ass, y'all hate China shit while y'all literally giving us shit for cheaper because you need our market and everybody knows it, including y'all. Like, that's why I would little bro them all the time like that too. Like, because doesn't look like a lot of the times that China is literally just ignoring America as they throw their temper tantrums?
Yeah. It's like the only adult in the room.
Yeah, but if that adult was like a fucking billionaire, basically, that could spank you whenever they felt like it. On top of that, like, you just throw you out the goddamn house anytime they wanted. And that's one of the, I would say that's probably one of the maybe flaws of China. Sometimes, like, they kind of like whenever something like this happens, like with Maduro or situation with Iran, they
You got to
almost
bring
be
the
too
belt out
chill.
more.
Yeah, a little bit, not all the time, but like just like, hey man, don't do that shit again. Are we really gonna make y'all feel it? Because China can make the U.S. feel it, at least economically, in ways that other countries don't. Even Russia couldn't, right? So I think that maybe that could be it. But I do believe that they are playing. I believe that China does have a plan, and they are playing like it's gonna hit a climax, and China and Russia, probably Iran too. They're gonna execute some shit, and the U.S. is gonna be able to react because they're gonna be overextended. They're going to be overextended. They're going to be over. Everything is outmatched. Like, as far as are they going to be outpriced, basically, because the dollar, I believe, is going to drop worldwide, and I believe there's going to be so many currency treaties and through various mechanisms and like an attempt to I'll say equilibrize. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. I'm thinking in Portuguese, so I can't remember what the word is, but basically, to stabilize the country's currency differences. There's going to be a big treaty about that. I believe it is going to be like maybe the next 10 years. And the U.S. because Europe, I mean, their second largest economy in the EU at least was France. Yeah, how's that shit looking? Yeah, that whole the AES fucked that whole vision up. Okay,
Even
England
Germany.
is kind of
Germany,
Germany.
it's destroyed after the Nord Stream pipeline.
Yep, the UK. It's like they're hanging on by a thread, but everybody I know from the UK is like that shit's about to collapse. So, and they all rely on the US to bail their asses out. So once they do execute this plan, which I believe is why China almost looks apathetic at times, or at least they don't care enough, is because they're biding their time like we can't do it yet. Like, you gotta Chinese are about discipline. And execution, right? And they put their pride to the side. And I wish I could be like, that's not fair because like but no, the Chinese, bro, they will suffer themselves temporarily if they have to, if it fits to the grand plan of China. Because it's more important. That is more important for my kids.
Yeah, there's the wisdom of Sun Tzu, the art of war. When your enemy's making a mistake, let them. Let them continue making that mistake. And the way I see China, remember that after the communist revolution was basically what made the country, because it would have been just like warlordism, and people say it would have been like India. No, the fuck it wouldn't have. It would have been 3 million different small states.
It would have been worse.
But there was a century of humiliation.
And it would have been way more people with the shits too, like people willing to fight in China. Like India kind of fell into that chaos because like not everybody wanted to fight.
But it wouldn't have been able to be a common state. At least India is a state. I think China would have just been many multiple states. It would have been balkanized. Yeah, balkanized. And the thing is that before that, there was a whole century of humiliation. And even in the first few decades of that, they were so poor and so much struggle that even there was a process of building up the confidence. And the way I see it, in terms of that point you were making, when are they going to start intervening with a heavier hand, to deal with the tempered tantrums that the U.S. Does? It's like a kid that's been bullied, that's growing up, that's hitting the gym, and that we can all visibly see it. You can smack the shit out the bully already, but they're almost there to getting to that confidence in themselves to give them a good fucking smack. And hopefully I think we're going to see it in our lifetime, probably sooner rather than later. Yeah.
But that's one of the reasons I'm happy about living in Brazil, because like Brazil's relationship with China is immaculate. Right?
Yeah.
Especially after that farmer trade situation where Trump fucked themselves in the U.S. by refusing by putting that not embargo tariff on them. They're like, fuck it, we'll just send $60 billion in trade to Brazil, bro. We had to build a whole ass extra port out here because of that, bro. And this is big, 60 billion USD. So imagine how much that is in real. Like it's crazy seeing the U.S. just screw themselves over and over and over again. And it's almost like Trump. I don't think that anyone has actually sat Trump down and talked to him. Like, hey, you do know this whole anti-China shit is supposed to be an act, right? right? Like, nobody sat him down and had that conversation. That it's just a little thing that we do in public because we have to pretend like we care about the fact that they got the better of us in that NAFTA deal. Like, it's an act, right? We do need them. Like, they are a third of our economy. No, we are the U.S. They need us. No, we owe all the money to them. We owe all the money. Yeah, they can call our shit right now. If they pull our shit right now, we going broke. Like, that's because that's what it is. So I will say though, they do have to. I agree with Nick to some degree that like. I don't like that there's a disproportionate amount of pressure put on China and Russia to resolve problems from the U.S. when the people in the U.S. aren't doing anything. Like, oh man, why don't Russia and China? Like, no, why don't you fucking get out there and do your part to make sure that your country doesn't do this shit anymore?
Because we're all fat and on Walmart scooters, getting in line to a fucking Cinnabon or something like that.
And tired, exhausted, like. Eventually you do hit a point of exhaustion. You like, fuck this. What have I got to lose at this point? And the Americans are getting there. But like it is, if like when it comes to Gaza, which I did see people start taking shit into their hands a little bit more with Gaza, right? That was like one of the first times we've seen it in our generation. With Venezuela, it hadn't happened. People were doing it again. Oh, well, China and Russia should. No, China and Russia are going to do what's best for their interest because they have to play a long game, but you don't have to. By the way, for their people in countries that are fucking massive, right? And a little bit of people in these nations. In China, I will say too, just really quick before we go, that what you mentioned about China and the 100 years of embarrassment that they had to deal with and then having to bounce back. What's important is like now this thing that is seen as such an asset for them, which is their population size. Yeah. Back then, that shit was a problem. Because how can we organize with no technology? We got you got emperors and shit but the reality is them emperors knew at any day, I don't know what the fuck going on over there across China. And if I'm in Eastern China, I don't know what's going on. Somebody can tell me what's happening, but there was a reason there was always switching dynasties. That's not normal unless you got billions of people, or at that time, hundreds of millions of people to govern in a country that's massive.
Yeah.
And everybody well, how could they not have, bro? They should have been able to fight. Because it wasn't like they had a Beijing, with a city with hundreds of millions of people and then everybody else on the outskirts. No, everything was spread out. It was easy to catch people slipping. It was harder to organize. But then that thing that everybody would have considered to be a plus back then is a plus now. But it was a negative at that point. I feel like that doesn't really get discussed enough. And even I would say that the U.S. they know how having a population size that big and that diverse can be a negative because they use it against Russia and the Soviet Union.
Yeah, to try to balkanize. Yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah, but appreciate you having me on, bro.
No, man, it's been a pleasure. We're going to have you back sometime soon.
For sure, bro, for sure.
We're gonna put all of your social media links and stuff in the description for people to check out your work. But is there anything you'd like to plug before we head out?
Oh, no, just follow us on Hotspot. It's at Hotspot on X. And you can follow me on Twitter, on Instagram, at Real Niko House. That's Niko with a K. And then on YouTube at For the People Podcast.
Sounds good. All right, brother. See ya. Have a good rest of your day.
Appreciate you, bro.